Thank you all very much. I am so excited to be here and so honored, and I'll tell you why. That as a freshman in Congress, we are, as you know, challenged about whether or not this wonderful, diverse Democratic class that I belong to can really make a difference in an institution that has lost its credibility, where many would say has lost any hope of recovery for moving and advancing anything forward, certainly missing the boat and missing the opportunity to really engage in doing something about jobs and the economy, which right now is the only work that we should be focused on. And I have to tell you, after 3 months, and coming off a campaign where we focus primarily on the inability of Congress to work together and the problems with partisanship, I am incredibly optimistic that the tide is changing and that you have to elect individuals, and we have to have individuals who are willing to serve, who really believe that we can compromise productively without losing the values and the importance of the issues that we're identifying as the single most important things to do. And this group here embodies better than most groups that can be done. Because we have at least 12 organizations, as I understand it, an alliance, a coalition, looking at how you can take jobs and move that into and utilizing labor and labor organizations and make climate change and clean energy and a clean environment your platform and priority. Now, if we can create a coalition like this, then Congress can become a body that's more about advocacy and change and less about individual agendas. And your work, thank you. And I'm so proud to have the opportunity not only to say thank you to you, because I can tell you exactly what you've identified, your blueprint. I'm clear about those 5 issues that you've identified, and now I'm just preaching to the choir. So I think instead this morning, I want to reiterate those 5, but really talk about the power of this group, the potential that we have to really make a difference, what's going on already in my state related to this alliance, and that for the first time, I think people on both sides of the aisle, it's not as robust as it needs to be, but that we are saying this today. We are talking about climate change in a way that you don't have individuals in Congress and other organizations recoiling, particularly the business industry and some of the energy industry, saying that it doesn't exist, it's not a priority, it's not an issue that we should let distract us from the other things that are important. There isn't anything as important as saving the planet. And the notion that these are all separate from improving the economy and bringing about better jobs is absolute nonsense. And so what have you said? Let's invest in infrastructure. Yes, let's invest in infrastructure. We have the president's budget. I'm on the budget committee. We're talking about those investments in infrastructure, in jobs, doing something about better transportation, making sure that we are using a mass transit and a clean energy transportation system that moves us, again, from that individual, and I'm from the Southwest, where we all have our trucks, an individual car environment. Because if we don't do that, we're going to miss incredible opportunities, even though our fuel efficiency is improving and our requirements related to the manufacture of vehicles is improving in that regard. But it won't be enough if we stop there. So thank you for moving that and for looking at green manufacturing. In Albuquerque, we have a green chamber that helps businesses. I'm a small business owner that actually helped me think about ways where I could be more energy efficient. A second platform. Consumers, businesses, individuals, government, policymakers, if we don't bring innovation and energy efficiency into the equation, again, we can't move forward regardless of what our investments are in the future. As a Bernalillo County Commissioner, we brought the very first solar storage battery test to Albuquerque. It's an American-made battery. It shows great promise for storing solar, capturing that energy, and then using it on the grid when you need it, so that it's not just an immediate solar, put it on the grid and then it's gone. And I'm very excited. We also brought smart technology from other companies across the United States to Albuquerque. So we can do more of that. Let's make it in America. Let's manufacture here. Let's bring our jobs home. Let's invest in alternative energy. In my state, I want us to be the solar wind capital of the United States, and there is no reason that the Southwest can't be producing enough solar energy, not just for the United States, but for many countries abroad. And that's the kind of investment. You know, we subsidized oil and gas, and still do, but we are unwilling to make the same investments in clean alternative energy. Now, I'm on the Agricultural Committee, and I'm really excited about that. And in my state, people are like, oh, Congresswoman, we're so sorry they put you on the Ag Committee. That must be so embarrassing. Now all of your constituents are livestock and cattle. Well, now wait a minute. That's a committee where a freshman gets to do policy and appropriations. That's a committee that does what? Rural economic development and alternative energy investments. Agriculture, USDA. We should use every tool, every committee, every opportunity to make sure that these priorities are moving forward so it's collective again, so that we don't get bottlenecked in just one place. This is a committee, with your help, we're going to build more coalitions. We make a difference. I love that you're invested in research and development. The president's budget finally talks about putting more money into innovation, because without innovation, we really can't take these agendas into the 22nd century, and that's exactly where we ought to be headed. So I'm excited about that. Now I'm going to end with a little bit of a downer and then turn it around and close, because I know that you've got a substantive panel coming and that you guys are ready to do really important and difficult work, so that you can count on folks like me to implement those ideas and make a difference in your communities and a difference for your families. The downer is, while we pass the Violence Against Women's Act, while we're going to do immigration reform, and we're going to do something on gun violence, we're going to have another important vote potentially tomorrow on cybersecurity. We got to balance privacy issues with making sure that we're dealing with the nation's security issues and threats. So we're getting policy work, and these votes and these efforts are absolutely bipartisan. But where we can't yet come together is on the budget. This is clearly where we have our values are completely separate. One side of the House, the Republican values are we've got to have a balanced budget in 10 years. The Democratic side, and I am really making this general. And on the Democratic side of the House, as you know, we want a balanced approach, which includes investments in infrastructure and clean energy. It includes having climate change as a priority. And we say, look, it's going to take much longer to create an environment where you're dealing with the deficit and the debt. And the best way to do that without forsaking critical federal investments in programs, investments in infrastructure, and clearly the social safety net is by growing the economy, doing what labor and you know best. Create jobs. Create jobs. And we can do that over a 20-year design or more or a little less and really change the dynamic and set a foundation that can set the stage for this country for decades. But we're not quite ready about what those compromises are. And I believe by 2014, with the work that we're doing on the policy issues and substantive issues, we get there. And so here's where I end. This coalition can really create the difference between getting those balances and getting those priorities right by reinvesting in jobs here, high-paying, clean energy investments, and getting that done in 2014, by continuing this work and by pushing hard and by working. And I just met the Yvette, and she's incredible. You've got such a dynamic group in this alliance. I'm counting on you to make sure that not just me as the freshman, but that every member of Congress values your work and is ready to be your champion, and that it's a partnership for change, and that we're really and actually going to get it done. I'm dedicated to that. I congratulate you for your work, and I'm so honored to have been asked to open your event this morning. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that you'll have me again. Thank you.